A suburban courtroom. A neighborhood dispute spiraled into something darker. At the center, one woman, her garden, and an HOA that wanted destroyed. Before we begin, don't forget to share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories. So it sounded ridiculous, petty, ordinary. But when the case hit court, the unthinkable happened. A sitting judge walked off the bench. And what followed was a conviction so unusual, so unprecedented. The entire community was left speechless. Dear viewers, this wasn't just about vegetables. This was about power, race, and the lengths people will go to keep control. Meet Tanya Mitchell, 40 years old, schoolteacher, devoted daughter, proud homeowner. Her backyard? Not a pool, not a deck, but rows of collard greens, tomatoes, peppers, beans. She called it her freedom patch, a tribute to her grandmother, who once told her, if you can grow your own food, no one can starve you. But the HOA didn't see history. They saw disorder. They saw a black woman refusing to play by their rules. April 2020. A letter arrived. Notice of violation. Remove guard within 14 days. The reason? Unsightly appearance. Tanya laughed at first, but the laughter died when she walked her street and noticed something chilling. 2 houses down, a white family had a vegetable patch twice the size. No violations. No fines. No threats. Tanya refused. She wrote back, "This is my property, my right, my heritage." Within weeks, fine stacked. $100, $250, $500. Neighbors whispered. Some sided with Tanya. Others avoided her gaze. By July, anonymous notes appeared on her door. This is not a farm. Move it or else. And then things escalated. One morning, Tanya woke to find her garden trampled, leaves crushed, stakes broken, soil scattered like ash. She filed a police report, but the officer shrugged. No cameras, no witnesses, nothing we can do. That same day, the HOA doubled her fines. Coincidence? Or message? August, the HOA filed suit. Their claim? Tanya violated community bylaws. But hidden in the complaint was something far more sinister. They accused her of harboring criminal activity. Tanya's jaw dropped. Criminal? In my backyard? The HOA's evidence? Grainy black and white photos. A shadowy figure crouched by her garden at night. No face. No timestamp. But the insinuation was clear. To the HOA, Tanya wasn't just a nuisance. She was a threat. September 2020. The county courthouse. Tanya arrived alone. Plain blue dress. Clutching a folder of receipts. Across from her sat the HOA board. 5 members. 2 lawyers. Suits sharp. Faces smug. The judge, Harold Denton. 60. White hair. Reputation for harsh rulings. Everyone expected the hearing to be swift. Fine imposed. Garden destroyed. Case closed. But what happened next, no one saw coming. As HOA lawyers droned on, Denton leaned forward. His eyes narrowed. Then, suddenly he stood. Gasps echoed. Judges don't leave the bench. Not mid-hearing. Not ever. But Denton walked down, past the board, past the attorneys, and sat in the gallery, right beside Tanya. He turned, lowered his voice. When did they first threaten you? The room froze. This wasn't procedure. This was personal. From that moment, Denton flipped the script. He grilled the HOA. Why no action against other gardens? Why blurry photos with no metadata? Why spend thousands of HOA funds on one woman's backyard? Every question tightened the noose. Every answer cracked their case. But just when it seemed Tanya would win, an HOA lawyer smirked. We have a witness, Your Honor. The doors opened, and in walked a man Tanya knew too well. Marcus Lee, Tanya's former friend, once close as family, now standing against her. Under oath, Marcus claimed he'd seen suspicious activity near Tanya's garden. Strangers coming late at night. Packages exchanged. No proof. No photos. Just words. But in court, words cut deep. Tanya's voice trembled. Marcus, why are you lying? He wouldn't meet her eyes. Denton's glare hardened. Mr. Lee, do you have evidence? Marcus stammered. And not exactly. The courtroom buzzed. And then another twist. During cross-examination, Tanya dropped a bombshell. Marcus wasn't just a neighbor. He was related by marriage to the HOA president, a conflict of interest the board had never disclosed. Gasps rippled. The judge's gavel slammed. Silence in court. The HOA scrambled, their case unraveling. But instead of dismissing it, Judge Denton leaned back, thinking, calculating, and then he delivered a ruling nobody expected. Miss Mitchell, Denton said, your garden will remain. The HOA has failed to prove violation. Relief washed over Tanya. She almost wept, but then his tone shifted. However, this court finds evidence of harassment, fraud, and abuse of power within this HOA. The board members froze. You will be fined, and this matter will be referred to the district attorney for review. An HOA convicted. A judge turned their own lawsuit into a criminal probe. Unheard of, unprecedented. And yet, Denton wasn't finished. As the courtroom emptied, Denton pulled Tanya aside. There's something you need to know, he whispered. He had received an anonymous letter days before the hearing, warning him that the HOA wasn't just targeting Tanya. They were covering something up, a missing fund, tens of thousands of dollars unaccounted for. And someone had tried to pin it on Tanya by painting her garden as a front. The photos, the threats, the lies, all part of a bigger scheme. But who sent the letter? And why risk exposing themselves? 2 weeks later, midnight, sirens wailed down Tanya Street. Her garden was gone, engulfed in flames. Neighbors rushed out. Smoke filled the air. The fire department declared arson. But no cameras. No suspects. Tanya stood barefoot in the street, tears mixing with ash. The garden Denton had protected was now rubble. And in the charred soil, firefighters found something no one expected. Not roots, not ashes, but a metal box. Inside, HOA financial records. The records revealed tens of thousands siphoned from HOA funds, fake maintenance contracts, ghost vendors, and signatures forged with Tanya's name. It wasn't just harassment. It was a frame job. The garden was never the target. Tanya was, because she was a perfect scapegoat. When Judge Denton learned of the fire, he called Tanya personally. Don't speak to anyone, he warned. Not the board, not the neighbors, not even the police. Why? Because Denton believed someone inside the system was involved. And if the forged signatures tied back to city officials, Tanya wasn't just fighting an HOA. She was standing against a machine. Days later, Marcus reappeared. Shaken, pale, he confessed to Tanya. He hadn't lied willingly. He'd been threatened. By whom? He refused to say. But he pressed a flash drive into her hand. Keep this safe, he whispered. Don't trust anyone. Not even me. Then he vanished. And when Tanya checked the drive, its contents left her breathless. Emails, contracts, names, evidence that reached higher than anyone imagined. Dear viewers, this was no longer about tomatoes. It was about corruption, fraud, betrayal, and a woman who refused to bow. But as Tanya stared at the files on that drive, one thought chilled her to the bone. If Marcus was silenced, would she be next? Because what Tanya was about to uncover could cost her not just her garden, but her life. The drive was small, black, unmarked, but when Tanya plugged it in, her laptop flickered. Folders appeared. Invoices, bank transfers, signed contracts, all bearing her name. Her heart pounded. They forged everything. But it wasn't just her. There were other names too. Neighbors, city contractors, even officials. Someone had been bleeding the HOA dry for years, laundering money through fake projects. And Tanya? She was a scapegoat. 2 nights later, a pounding shook her front door. 3 sharp knocks. Then silence. She froze. Looked through the peephole. No one. But on her porch lay an envelope. Inside, A single sheet of paper. Drop it or you'll end up like him. No signature. No explanation. But Tanya didn't need one. She knew who him meant. Marcus. She tried calling Marcus. No answer. She went to his house. Empty. Furniture gone. Curtains drawn. Neighbors whispered he'd left in the night. No goodbye. No forwarding address. But Tanya knew the truth. He hadn't left. He'd been taken. The next morning, Judge Denton showed up at Tanya's door. No robe. No bench. Just a man in plain clothes. His eyes were tired. His jaw set. "Someone's watching you," he said. "Watching us both." He held up his phone. On it, a photo of him leaving her house, taken from across the street. "I should have recused myself," he muttered. "But it's too late now." Together, they combed through the flash drive. Buried deep was a string of emails between HOA officials and a city councilman. The subject lines chilled her. Redirecting funds. Keep her quiet. Make an example. Denton swore. "This isn't about your garden. It's about control." And then they found one last email. From Marcus. Sent weeks before he testified. "I can't do this anymore. If something happens to me, tell Tanya I'm sorry." That night, Tanya left work late. As she pulled into her driveway, headlights flashed behind her. A black sedan. Windows tinted. Engine idling. It didn't move. She sat frozen, fingers gripping the wheel. Minutes passed. Finally, the car drove away. But as it turned the corner, she saw the license plate, covered in tape. Someone didn't want to be identified. 3 days later, flames roared again. This time, it wasn't her garden. It was the HOA office. Records burned. Files destroyed. The fire marshal called it faulty wiring. But Tanya knew better. It was a purge. Someone cleaning house. The next morning, Tanya got an anonymous email. Subject: "I know what they're hiding." Attached: a voice recording. A man's voice. Hoarse. Nervous. "They use me to fake signatures. To launder money. If you're hearing this, I'm probably gone." Tanya's blood ran cold. It wasn't Marcus. It was someone else. Another insider. Denton grew restless. "This is bigger than state court," he said. "These people, they have reach." He urged Tanya to go public, but Tanya shook her head. "Without proof, they'll bury me." He sighed. "Then you better find proof before they find you." The next night, Tanya's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. A distorted voice hissed. "Stop digging, Tanya, or we'll bury you too." Click. Her hands trembled. This wasn't harassment anymore. This was life or death. Desperate, Tanya agreed to meet the anonymous emailer. A diner off the highway. Midnight. She waited in a booth, heart racing. Finally, a man slid into the seat across from her. Hood pulled low, voice shaking. "I work for them," he said. "They paid me to create fake vendor invoices, to cover stolen funds. But when I asked too many questions, they cut me off." He handed her a folder. Receipts. Bank statements. "Don't let them know you have this," he whispered, "or you'll end up like the others." Before Tanya could ask, he was gone. 2 days later, news broke. The whistleblower was dead. Car crash. Single vehicle. Police ruled it an accident. But Tanya knew it wasn't an accident. It was a message. Denton stopped returning her calls. She drove to his office. Locked. Empty. She tried his house. Curtains drawn. Mail piled. Judge Harold Denton gone. Vanished without explanation. Just like Marcus. Then, another twist. A package arrived at Tanya's house. No return address. Inside, a small wooden box. Her breath caught, because carved into the lid was a single word. Roots. She opened it. Inside, more documents. Ledgers. Names. Bank accounts. And at the bottom, a Polaroid photo. Marcus. Denton. The whistleblower. All three. Sitting at a diner table. Alive. The photo was dated 2 days ago. Her head spun. If they were alive, then what was happening? Were they hiding? Were they complicit? Had she been played all along? That night, Tanya sat at her kitchen table, documents spread, photo trembling in her hand, when she noticed something chilling. On the back of the Polaroid, a handwritten note. "You're next." Her blood ran cold, because the handwriting was her own. Tanya stared at the Polaroid, her own handwriting, her own warning, but she had never written it. Her mind raced. Had someone forged her hand, or was she losing control? She locked the photo away, but the words burned in her head. "You're next." The local paper exploded with headlines. Judge Denton resigns. Disappears amid HOA scandal. City council under investigation. But no arrests, no answers, just whispers. Tanya became the face of the controversy. Some hailed her as brave. Others painted her as unstable. The pressure grew heavier by the day. Then out of nowhere, Marcus appeared at her school, his face gaunt, his eyes hollow. "Tanya," he whispered, "we don't have much time." She dragged him into an empty classroom. "Where have you been?" He glanced around, paranoid. "They're watching, always watching." "Who?" she demanded. He swallowed. "The board, the council, even Denton. They're all part of it." Tanya froze. "Denton?" Marcus nodded. "He played you, played me, played everyone." Marcus explained everything. The garden was never the issue. It was a cover, a distraction. While Tanya fought over fines, the HOA funneled money through fake contracts. Millions, not thousands. And when Denton defended her, he wasn't saving her. He was silencing her. The photo of Denton, Marcus, and the whistleblower? It was real. They'd met in secret, not to expose corruption, but to plan the next move. Marcus slid a phone across the desk. "Listen." It was a recording. Denton's voice. "She's useful. A distraction. While she fights a garden, nobody looks at the money. Keep her occupied. And when it's time, erase her." Tanya's stomach churned. Her garden. Her fight. Her suffering. All of it orchestrated. That night, Tanya fled. She packed what she could. Drove fast. But in her rear-view mirror, headlights. A black sedan. She swerved. Took side streets. The car followed. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. Trembling. A voice. Calm. Cold. "You can't run from roots, Tanya. They grow back, and we will bury you in them." The line went dead. Desperate, Tanya turned to an old friend, her grandmother's pastor. He hid her in the church basement. Small room. Creaking pipes. But safe. For a week, she stayed underground, praying, planning, until one night, footsteps echoed above. Heavy, measured, not the pastor's. She held her breath. The door creaked open, and in the dim light stood Judge Denton. "Tanya," he said softly, "you should have left when you had the chance." She backed away. "You used me." His smile was thin. "You were the perfect martyr. Every story needs one." She clenched her fists. "Why me?" "Because," he whispered, "your garden was never food. It was symbolism. And symbols are dangerous." Before he could move closer, Marcus burst in, gun in hand, eyes wild. "Get away from her." Denton laughed. "You think you're a hero, Marcus? You're just another pawn." But Marcus didn't hesitate. He fired. The shot echoed through the church. Denton collapsed. Blood on the floor. Police swarmed. Marcus was arrested. Denton pronounced dead. The scandal exploded. Investigations tore through City Hall. Board members resigned. Funds were traced. But justice was messy. Some officials slipped away. Charges vanished. And once again, the system protected its own. Weeks later, Tanya stood in her backyard. The soil was scarred. The garden gone. But she held seeds in her hand. She knelt, planted, watered. Because even after everything, she refused to let them win. Her freedom patch would return. Not as vegetables, but as defiance. Dear viewers, Tanya's story isn't just about a garden. It's about corruption hiding in plain sight. about how power twists truth, and how symbols, like one woman planting roots, can terrify the powerful. She fought back. She survived. But the question lingers. If the system can do this to her, frame her, burn her, erase her, what chance do the rest of us have? So I ask you, dear viewers, when the rules are written to break you, and justice bends to protect the powerful, would you have the courage to keep planting? If you found this story interesting, make sure you subscribe, comment, like, and share for more.